Joining us now, the Yankee first baseman Mark Teixiera. He's going to call it a career here in a couple of games, couple of days. You've been in a couple of TV shows, haven't you, Mark?
I have, Dan. It's good to talk to you. You know, I made my debut in Entourage a couple years ago, and then followed it up with Billions last year. So it's a nice little run for me.
Is that something you'd like to do post baseball?
Nope, absolutely not. I enjoyed my 2 cameos, but Dan, it is so much work for so little time on camera. I mean, my Entourage appearance was about 2 minutes, and we filmed for about 3 hours. And Billions was maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and we filmed for 6 hours. I got to be more productive than that. I don't know if I can grind out 20 or 30 years of TV.
When's the last time you didn't play baseball? How old were you?
Wow, 4 years old. I mean, I've been playing baseball since I can remember. Since every memory I have, baseball is intertwined somehow. So it's I've been playing organized baseball since I was 5.
Are you ready for this? Mentally?
Yes.
Physically, you might
mentally,
be. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? The reason I am ready mentally is because I have been hurt so much the last few years that every time you have an injury, you start thinking about, well, first of all, you're down for a month or two. So you start thinking about, okay, well, what does it feel like to be retired? Or what if I was retired? So I've had these kind of small times to contemplate retirement and think about what my life would be like without baseball. And I've had those over the last few years. And, I'm ready. I'm definitely ready. I'm at a point mentally and physically where I have no regrets.
Did you realize that you'd hit 408 home runs before you hit a walk-off home run?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The only walk-off home run I've ever had was in the playoffs. And, I kind of thought to myself, I had realized that because every time you see a walk-off, it's a pretty cool thing. It doesn't happen all the time. And I just kind of remember telling myself, well, if I never hit a regular season walk-off, I'll trade that for taking one in the playoffs. But, if my last home run in my career is a walk-off grand slam against the Red Sox, I'll take it.
Did you get a chance to say anything to Big Papi?
I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't play last night, and so I wasn't out there stretching. So now we have talked all season long about playing against each other and what are you going to be doing after baseball and this and that. So it's not like we haven't acknowledged the fact that we wouldn't be playing anymore. But last night specifically, I didn't have a chance to talk to him at all.
Did you have a problem with the Yankees celebrating Big Papi? Because it seemed like that was a story that should the Yankees be celebrating David Ortiz's retirement?
I see both sides of it. David Ortiz is not without controversy, obviously. And Yankee fans, they say some mean things to him. I mean, I've heard it. I've been playing against him for 8 years, so I hear it. And at the same time, the Yankees are a class organization, and whether you approve of everything that he does or who he is or whatever, the fact is he's put up amazing numbers. He's won 3 World Series. He's been a big part of the rivalry. So you kind of put all that aside and you honor the fact that he's been such a big part of the Yankees and the Red Sox rivalry. And the Yankees, handled the entire ceremony with class. I thought we did some really nice things for him. And, the game went off without a hitch yesterday.
Are you planning on playing this weekend or hoping to play?
I am hoping to play. It's supposed to rain all weekend,
yeah.
Unfortunately. So hopefully there's not 6-hour rain delays. But, yeah, I plan on playing every single game. Maybe not the entire game. I might, play a couple innings the first 2 games and then maybe the majority of the game Sunday. But, I want to say goodbye to the Yankee fans. I got a lot of friends and family that are coming to town, so I'm looking forward to it.
But there's, it's weird when it's time, and certain people know at certain times in their career, like Vin Scully, he's, 88, and now he realizes it's time. But for an athlete, somebody sometimes has to tell you it's time. Did anybody have a conversation with you, aside from you knowing you're breaking down, but just to say, hey, you know what, you should look at retirement, or, have you thought of it?
Yeah, nobody had that conversation. I kind of made a deal with myself, Dan. I love playing baseball, but I also love my family. I have other interests in this world that baseball is what I do. It's not who I am. So I told myself years ago that I will play as long as I am healthy and productive in the middle of the order. You know, I made a deal with myself. I wasn't going to hang around as a part-time player. I wasn't going to hang around as a pinch hitter or, you know, a sometime DH or a guy who played 50 or 80 games a year. And this season, with the neck issues, with the knee issues, and being the fifth straight year that I hadn't played 150 games, which is kind of tough for me to swallow, I kind of signed that contract with myself. And I said, all right, you know, I'm not the player I used to be. I'm not healthy. Time to move on.
Best pitcher you ever faced? The guy that you're going to be happy that you're going into retirement, you don't have to face again.
So the guy currently that I don't like facing.
Well, it could be all time that you just.
Okay, well, I'll give you two. Currently, it's Justin Verlander. My numbers off him are just disgusting. But I did hit one big home run off him. I had a game winner on opening day in 2011. And so I'm like, 2 for 40 with one game-winning home run. So I'll take that with me.
Who else?
Mariano Rivera, who was my teammate for 5 years or 6 years with the Yankees. There's not a pitcher that I've ever faced that I was more uncomfortable against, because I knew that if he made a pitch even close to where he wanted to make it, I wasn't going to get a hit. You know, if as a lefty, when he threw the ball, that cutter inside to me, to keep it fair, I had to break my bat. And that's not a good feeling. And he did that to so many guys. I was honored to play with him, but playing against him was not fun at all.
Who's the pitcher that you're going to miss facing?
Well, you can't say that. I mean,
no, you're retiring.
I have to call out somebody.
Yeah, but you're retiring. It doesn't matter.
Man. You know, I'll say this. I think he just recently retired as Bruce Chen. My numbers off Bruce Chen, I mean, you could probably look them up, but they're like, I think I'm like, 8 for 12 with 6 home runs or something crazy.
Paulie, do you have the numbers on Mark with Bruce Chen?
Mark Teixiera, career versus Bruce Chen, 22 at-bats, 11 hits, 7 home runs.
Yeah, it was. And I think in that stretch, it was 6 out of 9 at-bats was a homer or something crazy. And he actually came up to me. I mean, Bruce is the nicest guy. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, man, am I tipping my pitches?"
As if you're going to tell him?
I had to tell him. I said, "No, you're not tipping your pitches. I just get lucky off you." What else am I going to say? I mean, but he was one of those guys that there are just certain pitchers that you face throughout your career that you're excited to face because you see the ball really well. And the opposite's true. I mean, there's guys that, you know what, you could tell me what's coming every single pitch. I'm not going to square it up because my timing's off and I can't see the ball well off you.
Yeah, and Rivera could have said to you, "Hey, Mark, I'm going to throw it here. This is what I'm throwing," and it probably wouldn't have mattered.
100%. There are things that you see in this game. I mean, you know, I've gotten to play with some great players. I've gotten to see some dominant individual performances, some dominant pitching performances. But watching Mariano Rivera at first base, and really watching, because I didn't have to field many balls,
yes.
for those years was I think the most impressive thing that I've ever been a part of in baseball. And I don't think that he gets enough credit. I think people just took him for granted. I think in New York he gets a lot of credit, but around baseball, when people talk about the greatest pitchers of all time, starters, relievers, I don't care who you are, Mariano Rivera needs to be in that conversation.
Mark, it's been fun to watch, and good luck with whatever that next step is, and we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you very much, Dan. Always a pleasure.
That's Mark Teixiera, the Yankee first baseman.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.